Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Tim, and today I'm continuing my preview playthrough of Knights over Stalingrad, designed by Dan Minette and soon to be published by Legion Wargames. So continuing from where we left off in our last episode, we are conducting this mission, escort mission to Gumrak 2. If you recall, our four fighters rendezvoused with, I think it was four JU-86s en route to Gumrak from Morosovsky. We currently have just entered the approaches and have come across a Soviet cauldron raid consisting of 6 Soviet IL-2 ground attack aircraft. At the end of the last episode, we rolled for everyone's initiative, and we have them all placed now on the initiative track, and we are just getting ready to begin the combat sequence. Actually, we did begin it by placing them in initiative positions. Now we're getting ready to perform each aircraft's action. So as I mentioned before, we start with the highest to lowest initiative number, work our way down. Any ties broken by these 4 criteria here, we've already got them arranged within each box where there's more than one in the correct order. So now we go to combat actions. So we're going to be starting up here with our BF-109G in Initiative Box 20, our ace. And let's take a look on the back of this sheet at what our combat options are. So first of all, if the aircraft is a fighter or a heavy fighter, and they're in the first initiative, or they're the highest initiative aircraft, which in this case we are. We have the option to invoke this freedom of action rule. And basically what that allows you to do is normally for fighters and heavy fighters, at least for the Axis, their only real option is to either do a head-on attack if there's another fighter in the same initiative box as them, or to attack the aircraft that's in the next lowest initiative box. So in this case, the next lowest aircraft available to us is this one in initiative box 15. So without the freedom of action option, that would be our only choice, would be to attack this aircraft or to pass and not attack at all. What the freedom of action allows us to do is we can bypass aircraft, and we have our choice of attacking any aircraft on the initiative track. It might be good, like if you have one that's way down here that's been damaged, pretty close to being shot down, you might want to go after it before it has a chance to do anything, take it out. Or other factors that might come into that decision. I think in our case, though, it just makes sense for us to go ahead and attack this aircraft here. We want to try to take this guy out before he has a chance to attack our fighter here. So we've got 2 aircraft ahead of it that we'll get to attack it before it can do anything. So since we're not employing that option, we can look down here based on our fighter type. It gives us what our options are for our actions. So we're a fighter, so we can pass, as we mentioned, just do nothing and go to the action taken box. If there were another heavy fighter or fighter in the same initiative box, then we could initiate a head-on attack, in which case both aircraft would get to attack each other simultaneously. Or we can do a normal attack and just attack any aircraft that's in the next lower initiative box. If there were more than one here, we'd have our freedom to choose whichever one we wanted to attack. Now this is the one exception to for fighters is Soviet fighters always have the option to skip over aircraft and attack the next highest bomber or transport. So the Soviets don't have any fighters this time, so they're not going to be able to take advantage of that. But normally, if this were a fighter, they could skip past our fighters and go after the next highest bomber or transport. And then if none of these attack options are available, then fighters do have the option to strafe aircraft that are on the ground, or a ground target, or an airfield. But in our case, we're just going to do a normal attack against this IL-2 here. So we're going to place our aircraft beneath that one. And now we start the actual attack procedure. And so what we're going to do is roll our pilot experience die, which in this case is a D12. And we're looking to get at least a 6, which will generate 1 hit. If we manage to get an 8 or higher, then we'll get 2 hits. So let's see what we get here. And we rolled 3, so we missed. So then this will go to the action taken box. Also, before we go any further, just a reminder, we do have some dogfight cards that we might potentially be able to use. These can only be used by fighters or heavy fighters. The ones that we have, I think this one's out because it requires our pilot to have a wingman, which I guess I should have mentioned when we were prepping for this combat, is you can voluntarily choose to pair up 2 of your fighters to have one of them be a wingman. So that may be something we want to consider doing next time so that we could take advantage of that dogfight card. But these other ones, I believe, are both usable in situations where we're being attacked, and the initiative differential has to be 1 or less. So we may have an opportunity here when this guy attacks here to use one of those dogfight cards. But that's something you always want to keep in mind as you're planning out your attacks, is what you have available in terms of dogfight cards. And then also we have this fate card that allows us to automatically succeed on one of our dogfight card plays. So we need to keep that in mind as well. All right, but we'll just go on down the line then here. Now we've got our Ace BF-109G Gondola pilot that's going to also go after this aircraft. The next lower one on the initiative track. So again, he will be rolling a D12, hoping for a 6 or higher. And we got a 7. All right, so that's going to be 1 hit. So we're going to draw a damaged chit from our bag of damaged chits. And so we got this one. Now remember, he's a firepower rating of A. So we're going to use this portion of the chit, and that's going to generate 5 damage. So we're going to put a marker on this aircraft, denoting that it's taken 5 damage. Now, if the total damage on an aircraft ever equals or exceeds its pilot experience value, in this case 12, it's just automatically destroyed, even if it's on its undamaged side. But now what's going to happen is, since it doesn't, then the Soviet aircraft now has to perform a damage check. And in order to do that, he's going to roll his pilot experience die, which is also a D12. And he has to roll higher than the total amount of damage that's on his aircraft. If it's equal to or less than the total amount of damage, then he's going to become damaged and actually flip over to his damaged side. Otherwise, it's just considered minimal damage. All right, so he rolled an 8, so he passed the damage check. We didn't manage to flip him. And that will conclude. I forgot to check on the first time, though, but this is one of those that does not have a rear gunner, so we're not taking any return fire from this particular aircraft. So this one will then also go to the action taken box. And it's now this Soviet IL-2's turn. So let's refer to the combat options chart. And this time we're looking at the dive bomber, ground attack, or reconnaissance aircraft type. So again, they have the option to pass. They can perform an attack, any aircraft in the next lowest initiative box. And then, or they can do a bypass attack, bypass airborne aircraft to attack landed aircraft, ground targets, or airfields. Well, we don't have any of those in this situation, so that's not an option. So they're just going to do a normal attack. Again, this section over here explains, since this is a non-player or non-human player controlling the Soviet aircraft here, this would describe any rules that it's going to follow if there were more than one choice to make here. So they would always choose to attack landed bombers or transports over attacking an airborne aircraft. And if there aren't any bombers or transports, then they'll attack the next lowest target on the initiative, including landed aircraft, ground targets, or airfields. Pretty simple there. All right, so he is going to attack this one here. And now we have an option to play one of these dogfight cards if we would like to. So this one is to avoid the attack. We each roll an experience die. The higher die roll wins. And higher experience would win ties. So in this case, he's an ace, we're a veteran. So the Soviet aircraft would win a tie in this case. But if we manage to succeed, then he doesn't get to attack us. We'd both go to action taken. If it fails, though, then they're going to get their normal attack with a +1 DRM to hit. The other option we have is this Hinari-Komi maneuver. Same thing, we'd each roll a die. If we succeed, and remember we can automatically succeed if we want to, then we would get to attack the enemy with the +1 DRM, and then the enemy does not get to attack us. And then both of us would be moved to the action taken box. If we fail, though, we don't get an attack, which in this case we normally wouldn't anyway, so we're not really losing anything there. But the enemy would get their normal attack plus a second attack with a -2 DRM. So that could be pretty nasty. This is definitely the safer play, I think, as far as how bad things can get if we fail. So I'm thinking let's go ahead and play this dogfight card here. We may not, these are, it's kind of like, well, do I want to hold on to it for a better opportunity? But then what if this, condition doesn't occur again, then you kind of lose out. So we're going to go ahead and do this. So we each roll our experience die. So the D12, this one's going to be for the Soviets, this D10 for us. We're hoping to get a higher roll than them. And the Soviets will win a tie. And we got a 10, and they got a 10. Wow, we got the best we could get, but they still managed to tie us. So that dogfight card then gets shuffled back into the deck. And they are going to get to their normal attack with a +1 die roll modifier. So he's rolling a D12. And 11 + 1 is 12. It didn't matter. He was going to get 2 hits on us anyway. Excuse me. And unfortunately, these guys are A firepower rating, so they're going to do a lot of damage to us here. So we pull 2 damage chits, add the values together. So the first one is a 5. Second one is a 4. So he does a total of 9 damage to us. Which means we have to roll a 10 exactly in order to not get flipped to our damage side. So we just rolled a 10. Let's see if we can do it again. Nope, 7. So we have been damaged. We flip over. And now you'll see on our reduced side that our aircraft performance has been reduced to a 7. We're still a B firepower rating, but then also we now need to roll a 10 or higher to get 2 hits instead of an 8 or higher. And also 1 more damage and we are toast, because that will then equal our pilot experience value. All right, so that finishes his turn, so he goes to the action taken box, and it is now up to us. So our only option here is to attack the aircraft in the next lowest initiative position, which would be this one. However, you'll notice this guy has a rear gunner there, and I do not want to risk that rear gunner rolling a 6 on a D6 and doing at least 1 damage to us, which would then shoot us down. So we are just going to pass. Let's go straight to the action taken box. And that brings us to this aircraft. So although we are in the same initiative box as another aircraft, this is not a fighter or a heavy fighter, so we cannot initiate a head-on attack. So once again, our only option is to attack the next lowest initiative box. So we're going to attack here. This guy does have a rear gunner, so we're going to face some return fire here. But we're rolling a D10 here. See what we can do to him. And an 8. Excellent. So 2 hits. Pull 2 damage chits. First is, ooh, and we're doing A damage here too. Oh, only a 3. I think that's the worst one you can pull. And then a 5, that's better. Okay, so we did 8 damage. Oh, and look at that. He is an experienced pilot, so 8 damage is all it takes to shoot him down. So he has been destroyed. Don't even need to roll for it. However, the fire from the rear gunner is considered to be simultaneous. So he still does get to do that. So we'll roll a d6 for that. And he does roll a 6. So he gets to pull a C, a damage chit, and use the C firepower rating for the rear gunner. And he does 1 damage to us. Oh, and I just realized something I overlooked. So we're going to rewind here a little bit. 1 damage on us. Let's do our damage check, and then I'll get to what it is that I overlooked. Oh, look at that. We rolled a 1. So now, not only does that mean we rolled equal to or less than our amount of damage we have, so we're getting flipped to the damage side. But also, whenever you roll a 1 for your damage check, the hit that you received is considered a critical hit, and you draw another damage chit and apply additional damage based on using the same firepower rating. So in this case, a C rating from the tail gunner, and we take another hit, or another point of damage. Now we're up to 2 damage and on our damage side. Okay, so what I forgot is you'll notice on these IL-2s, they have this little -1 in a little symbol of the damage chit icon there. And if we look here, we see that symbol means we reduce the first damage chit by 1 damage. So these are pretty heavily armored or sturdier aircraft, so they're more resistant to damage. So in fact, we only did 7 points of damage to this aircraft, so it is not shot down yet. He will need to do a damage check roll, this time with a D8, since that's an experienced pilot. And he rolled a 4, so failed the damage check. We did manage to damage it, at least. But their tail gunner got real good shot on us in return. Okay, that also means this aircraft that we hit earlier, instead of taking 5 damage, it actually only took 4 damage. So apologies there. I was even thinking about that before I started. I was like, don't forget the -1 for these IL-2s, because I tend to forget that sometimes, but we got it straight now. All right. So that's going to conclude this aircraft's action. So we're back over here in initiative box 10. And the next aircraft to take a turn is going to be this IL-2 Ace. And they get to attack the next lowest initiative box, which is going to be here. And they're going to attack one of our bombers here. So, the way this works for the non-human player in deciding which to attack, they will prioritize aircraft that are on their damaged side. Not necessarily aircraft with damage on them, but actually on their damaged side. And then short of that, it's just going to be a random choice. Now, in this case, these are both identical, so it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to say he's attacking this one. So he gets to roll a d12 against us. And he gets a 8. I thought that's what it was. I was hoping maybe it was a 3, though. So 2 hits again. Wow. This is not going well. I'm going to get to demonstrate another rule here for you in a second, though. Well, yeah. So 4 damage from the first one. Hopefully this one is only a 3, or we're going to lose that bomber. Oh, look at that. All right, so 7 damage on that bomber. And it will need to do a damage check. Experienced pilot, so a D8. Oh, look at that, he passed. So is not flipped to the damage side. Now, these Ju-88s have rear gunners as well. And these are actually, because of the red arrow, this is considered a crew gunner. And the way these work is if there are multiple aircraft with crew gunners in the same initiative box, they basically cover each other. So both of these aircraft rear gunners are going to get to fire at this attacking aircraft. So put these back in the bag in case we get a hit. And so we're just going to roll 2d6s for that. Looking for 6s, and they both miss. All right. That is it for this guy. All right, moving on. Oh, one other thing I want to point out while we're on this topic. Whenever you have these bombers or transports also that end up in the same initiative box, they become, I forget the exact term, but they basically operate as a group for the rest of the combat. So when it comes time to roll for initiative for the next round, they're going to stick together. So we only need to roll once for their initiative, and they'll both go to that same box. Now, once any of the members of that group become damaged, then they're no longer able to maintain that formation, and then they have to start rolling separately for their initiative. Okay, so next we have our bomber. So let's confirm. Oh, I did want to mention too, regarding the aircraft types, there is a chart in the rule book for those of you that aren't familiar with all the different types of aircraft and what designation they are. So it breaks it down for, all these are categorized as fighters. The only heavy fighter in the game is the BF-110. These are all bombers. So yeah, actually the Ju-86, I've been saying it's a bomber. It's actually a transport. So that is very helpful for those like me that aren't real familiar with different aircraft models and what type they are. Okay, so let's see what our transport has for combat options. And as you might suspect, they're somewhat limited. So bombers or transports, they can land if they're over a friendly airfield and it is combat round 2 or later. They're not allowed to land on the first round of combat. They can perform an airdrop if they're on an airdrop supply mission. They're allowed to bomb. Obviously, this would only apply to bombers, although I think there might be special situations where transports are able to be loaded with ordnance as well and can bomb. And then, or they can pass. So that's what we're going to be doing here. Take no action, go to the action taken box. So this transport is going to pass. And it's on to this aircraft's turn. So again, it is going to attack one of these 2 bombers. Now again, even though this has damage on it, it's not going to necessarily prioritize that one because it's not on its damaged side. So we're going to need to roll to see which one it's actually going to attack. So even, it's going to go after the one with damage on it, and odd, it will go after the completely undamaged one. So it is even, unfortunately, going after the one that's about to go down. So any hit here, I don't need to move that. Any hit here is going to do us in. So he's an experienced pilot, so he's rolling a D8. And fortunately, he misses. All right, and then we get to return fire on him, and he's in the same boat. One more, any hit on him, and he's going to go down as well. So let's see, and again, both of these get to team fire against him. So looking for a 6 here on either die. There we go. So we did get a hit. We'll go through the formality of pulling a chit, but I know for a fact that they all do at least 1 damage. Although, wait, hold on, don't forget, they get -1, so we need at least 2 damage here. And we only got, but it is to a minimum of 1, so we're safe. So let me double check that for sure, but I'm pretty sure it's still minimum of 1 damage for those. That's in Rule 9.10. 9.10. The IL-2s and the HS-129s also have that icon on them as well. Heavily armored and protected. But yeah, to a minimum of 1 damage. So we do get the 1 damage we needed. And this aircraft is destroyed. Once an aircraft is destroyed, depending on the aircraft type, you may have to roll for a bailout check and an evasion check. That is section 10. Here it goes. Yeah. I'm looking for this exception down here at the end. Bomber and transport crews do not roll for bailout or evasion, okay? But this is a ground attack aircraft, so we are going to do that. So, The way that works is first you roll for a bailout check. So the pilot is going to roll their experience die, which in this case is a D8. And a 1 through 3 means they failed to bail out and are killed in action. And they rolled a 3. So that pilot has failed to successfully bail out and goes down with his aircraft killed. And that is going to be worth mission points for us at the end of this combat. On chart E3, enemy pilot killed or captured. Green pilots aren't worth any points, but an experienced pilot is worth 1, veterans are worth 2, and aces are worth 5. So what I'm going to do is place this red cube here to denote that that pilot has been killed. So we'll remember to add that 1 point when we're calculating our mission point total here once combat's over. Now, if the pilot had succeeded in bailing out, then you'd roll the die again, and on a 1 to a 3, they failed to escape and are captured. And in that case, I've been using yellow cubes to denote pilots that have been captured. All right, so that's how the bailout and evasion checks work. And I believe we are good now to proceed. All right, so next up is going to be this aircraft. Again, ground attack aircraft, so not allowed to do head-to-head. So we're looking at them going after the next lowest initiative box, which is going to be this aircraft here. Rolling a D10. And they get a 2, which is a miss. And then again, we have a rear gunner here. So we get a D6 in return, and they miss as well. This aircraft goes to action taken. And we are on to our next, which will do the same thing. And a D8 for him. I'm just going to roll these at the same time. Speed things up here a little bit. So D8 for him, D6 for us for the rear gunner. So our rear gunner missed, and he also missed. All right, next up are our 2 transports. They have nothing to do, so they're just going to pass. But remember, they stay together as a group, so I'm just going to stack them here so we remember for the next round that they roll for initiative together. Then we're on to our last initiative box. This aircraft has no other aircraft below them, so they will just pass, and no ground targets to attack, so they have nothing to do, and that leaves us then to also pass. All right, so that completes the first round of combat. We'll advance this to round 2, and we'll do it all again. Starting with all right, well, let's go ahead and go through this here. So I guess we should have looked at this earlier. Once an action is completed, it's placed in the action taken box. There are some exceptions to this. If the aircraft still has enemy aircraft that are at higher initiative than them after they perform their attack. For example, if they had bypassed an aircraft to attack one at a lower box, or if they had a head-on option that they chose not to do and attacked the next lower aircraft instead, then they would actually remain in that initiative box and are still a viable target for enemy aircraft in higher initiative locations. The other exception is if the aircraft has landed, then they remain in initiative box 1 as a possible target. And also aircraft that have broken off, which is only possible through dogfight cards, I believe. They get placed in the break-off box, and then they don't participate in the combat for the rest of the rounds. All right, so combat lasts 3 rounds in normal weather, 2 in heavy clouds, or until no enemy remain. Enemies remain, in that case, we'd go down here, but otherwise we advance the combat round marker, return to the top of the combat sequence, only placing aircraft in the action taken box on the initiative track, which in our case is all of them, except for the one that was destroyed, of course. All right, so we're going to be determining aircraft initiative ratings again. So I generally like to start with the aces first, because we know that they're going to go higher in initiative. So let's go ahead and knock them out. Let's do this again over here so we're not blocking the boxes here. So first up, we have our fighter ace. Rolls a 12, excellent. So plus his 8 performance puts him in box 20. Then we have our gondola ace, a 3. So he's only going to be at 10. Then we've got their... You know what? Let's do all of our fighters first, actually, because they're going to automatically go before any of their aircraft, since they're all ground attack aircraft. So we've also got our guy here that's really limping along with 9 damage. He's a D10. 7 plus 7, he'll be at 14. Hopefully that's high enough to keep him out of harm's way. And then we've got our other one who got sucker punched by the IL-2's rear gunner. And he's also a D10 and 13. So hopefully they roll lower than 13 for all of theirs. All right, so let's do theirs next, because they'll be the next tiebreaker, if there is one. So we've got their ace here with a tail gunner. And he rolls a 7 plus 3 is 10. That's good. So he won't get to shoot at any of our fighters, at least. Then we've got their other ace without a tail gunner. And he rolled a 4, so he's going to be at 7. Liking this a lot better. Then we have one of their veterans. Sands tail gunner. 6 and 3 is 9. And then we've got their other veteran with the tail gunner. 10. 13. Okay. Those guys are still safe. All right. Then we've got their experienced one. And he gets a 3, so he's going to be at 6. All right. We need these bombers, or these transports, to roll really high. So let's start with our tag team duo here. Roll a d8 for them. Oh, 2. So they're going to be at 5. Yep, they're going to be dead meat, I'm afraid. And then this one, a 4, puts him at 7. So he's still in range of a couple of them. And then this one, another 7. Well, they get to pair up now at least. Or no, sorry, 7. What did I roll for him? Oh, those were both 7s, right? Or did I roll a 4? Shoot. I put him in the 7 box, but I thought I rolled a 7 for him. Or was it a 4? Hang on. I'm going to go check the footage. Okay, I did do that right. I did roll a 4 for that one, so he's at 7. And then this one's rolled a 7, and he's at 10. All right. So that is everyone. So we can begin our next round of combat. And I'm going to go through this a little quicker here since we hopefully demonstrated through the last round how all these choices and things work. Once again, we have a fighter in the top initiative spot, so they have the freedom of action choice. We could maybe try to go after this guy. It would serve a couple of purposes. First, maybe try to take him out, obviously, but then also, since we would remain here as a possible target, then that means these aircraft here that would be attacking this transport would now have the choice between us and the transport. And so it would be a random choice on which one to go after there. So that might not be a bad thing to do to try to protect that transport. I keep wanting to call them bombers. Our normal target would be this guy. So I don't really see any reason other than that one that's already got some damage on it. Because who else? So this one's going to attack here. Well, he's probably going to pass because this guy has a rear gunner. Which means this one will be attacking this aircraft. So yeah, otherwise this one's the only other aircraft that has a chance to go after this one. So yeah, let's do it. Let's exercise our freedom of action choice, if nothing else, just to demonstrate the rule. May or may not be the best tactical decision here, but we're going to do it so we can demonstrate how it works. I think it makes sense, though. All right, so he's going to bypass these 3 aircraft to go after this one instead. And so we get a D12. Again, we don't have any dogfight cards that would apply in this situation. So let's see where we can put this without knocking everything everywhere. And we miss. Wow. We miss horribly. All right, but now since there are enemy aircraft in higher initiative locations, we do not go to action taken. We stay here and can be targeted by these other enemy aircraft. And this one does not have a rear gunner, so we don't take return fire. All right, so on to here. And again, this guy's just going to pass. Which takes us to here. We're going to have him just attack the aircraft in the next lowest initiative box right here. Rolling a D10. And we get a 7, so that's good enough for 1 hit. I need to hope for some critical hits here. Okay, he is a A. Okay, so we get the 4 damage on him. But remember, it's reduced by 1 because it's an IL-2, so it's only 3 damage. So that aircraft does a damage check, and he passed. So, and he does have a rear gunner, so rear gunner will get return fire. Rolled a 5, almost. This one goes to action taken. Brings us here next. So this one has a choice. Either our fighter or the transport. Now a human player would probably just say, I'm going after the transport. But in this case, since neither of the aircraft are on their damage side, it's going to be random. So we're going to say even, it's the fighter, odd, it's the transport. And it's the transport. All right, D10. Missed. Nice. And return fire. Missed as well. No enemies in higher initiative boxes, so they go to action taken. All right, that brings us to this one. Just going after this guy. With a D12. 5. Missed. No return fire from that one. This one will go here and has a choice. So we're going to say even, it's the fighter, odd, it's the transport. Hey, went after the fighter this time. Good deal. So D12 on us. That's a 4. Excellent. So he missed. Oh, sorry. Okay, so, no, not sorry. Thought I messed up here for a second. So technically there are still enemy aircraft above this one, so he would stay in this box. However, this aircraft can't attack, so I'm just going to go ahead and move him to action taken so I don't forget. All right, this one is just going to pass. Again, it's round 2, so they could land if we were over a friendly airfield, but we are not. Now you are allowed to land your supplies. So all of these transports are considered to be carrying supplies, which becomes important for mission point purposes. And they are allowed to land at a friendly airfield other than your target airfield. However, you get fewer points by doing that. But if you're desperate and you're afraid you're going to lose them, because you lose a lot of points if your supplies get destroyed. So So sometimes it's worth saying, we're near this friendly airfield, let's try to get them to land there instead. All right, so that brings us to this one, which again has a choice between our fighter and our transport. Even for the fighter, odd for the transport. And he's going after the transport. With a D10. A 3. Wow, they keep missing. That's excellent. Excellent, excellent. And then our, forgetting. Return fire from the transport. 5, just barely missed. He goes to action taken. Now this fighter that bypassed earlier has no other enemy aircraft above it, so it can be moved to action taken now. And that brings us to this one, which is going to go after one of these transports. Again, even though this one is just 1 point away from death, you won't prioritize that because it's not on its damaged side. So we will roll even odd. Nice. So he's going after this one. And I'm going to remember this time to roll for the return fire at the same time. So these two will be for the return fire and a D12 for his attack. All right. Ooh. So both of the return fires missed. Unfortunately, he got enough for 2 hits. So our lucky streak of them missing has ended. First one is, oh good, only 3. Another 3 would be great. No such luck. 5, 8. That's enough to take him down. So we have lost our first transport with supplies. Remember though, bombers and transport crews do not roll for a bailout and evasion, so we don't have to worry about that. That was quite unfortunate. He goes to action taken. Next, this transport is going to land, or not land, is going to pass. But make it safely through to the next round. And unfortunately, we got this guy now coming after our guy that's just barely scraping along here. All right. So, D8 for him, D6 for us. We missed. He got 1 hit. That's going to do us in. Yep, 3 damage. Puts us at 10, which is over our pilot experience value of 8. So another transport with its supplies bites the dust. And that goes to action taken. All right, that finishes round 2. On to round 3. Let's roll for our initiatives. Those are looking kind of dire here. All right, so we'll start with our ace. one gondola ace. He's been rolling well so far. 16 this time, not quite as good, but still good. And then our gondola ace. Oh, come on. 8. All right, next up is going to be our 2 veterans. So we got this one. Rolls a 7 plus 7 is 14. And this one. Oh, another 1. 7. That's bad. All right, they've got their 2 aces. First, the one with 3 damage on it is going to roll a 3. That puts him at 6. That's good at least. Their other ace rolled a 6, so he's going to go at 9. We've got their 2 veterans. Single seat rolls an 8. Yikes. 11. And their 2-seater rolls a 4, which puts him at 7. And their experienced pilot rolls a 6, puts him at 9. Not looking good. Our 2 transports. 3, that's terrible. He's going to be at 6. And a 4 puts him at 7. They don't even get to tag team. All right, this is what we're looking at. We've got everyone except this aircraft is going to get a shot at us. Okay. Well, once again, we have this freedom of action choice available to us. We're not worried about this guy because he's not going to get to attack anything. So I think again we got to try to get this this one out of commission here. So we're going to bypass to go after this guy with our freedom of action. Rolling a D12. Nine, there we go. 2 hits. Make them good ones. Remember, we subtract 1 from the first one. That's a 2, becomes a 1. And a 3. So a total of 4 more damage. Puts him at 8. They don't get to return fire on us either. So they roll their damage check. Ah, they pass. Come on. All right, we have to sit there as a possible target. All right, next is going to be this aircraft. Now this time, this guy has no rear gunner, so we're going to go ahead and have him attack this one with a D10. Missed. He goes to action taken. puts us to this guy next, who will now attack us here with a D10. Five is a miss. Action taken. We now no longer have enemies above us, so we can go to action taken. This one's going to attack here with a D12. Oh, jeez. Two more hits. Four. And 3. So 7 damage on us. We roll for our damage check. And we fail. Flips us to our damage side. And this goes to action taken. Now this guy's going to come in and try to finish us off with a D8. Missed. All right, well, we can try to go after this guy. He's going to get a shot back at us. Yeah, I think we have to try, right? See if we can save that transport. At least this one is safe from attack. All right, so D12. See if we can get lucky here. We do get one hit. They also get return fire, though. They missed. So with our one hit, -1 damage, though. We are an A rating, though. That's one of our gondolas. Need to pull a 5 here. Yes. What would have been really great was to have been a pull 1. Let me show you this. There are a couple of these damage chits, like this one, that have this sort of brownish colored border instead of the black border. Have this G on them. That means they cause a rear gunner casualty. So you can take out their rear gunner if you manage to pull one of these on them. Haven't managed to do that yet, though. All right, so he's going to take 4 damage. And roll for a damage check with a D10. Where did my red D10 go? There it is. And he passes. All right, this one's done. Next up, this one's going to attack here with a D10. Missed. They do have a rear gunner. He also missed. All right, then he's going to attack this transport with a D10. And gets 2 hits. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. 3. Oh, there's one, but we don't have a tail. Or yeah, we do. So it's going to take out his rear gunner and do 6 damage to us. So we have this dorsal gunner casualty marker that we'll use to denote that, along with the 6 damage that we took. And we need to roll a damage check with our D8. Oh, critical hit. Wow. So we pull another damage chip and use the A firepower value, which I'm sure is going to be enough to finish us off. Yes, it is. 3 more damage. That's a total of 9. So this aircraft is destroyed, at which point it doesn't matter that for the dorsal gunner casualty. So we lost our 3rd transport out of 4. Okay. He's done. This one passes. And this one passes because there's no one left. All right, so that is our result. Very poor indeed. Going to add up our mission points that we earned, or in this case, lost, and record those. And then that's going to, I think, wrap things for this episode. We're going a little bit long here. But first time through the combat sequence is going to go a little bit slower. All right, so on the positive side, we shot down a ground attack aircraft. So enemy ground attack damaged is worth 1 point, destroyed is worth 3 points. So we got 3 points for that. And we killed their experienced pilot, so that's 1 point. So we have 4 points to the good. However, they destroyed 3 of our transports. So friendly transport. Where is it? Friendly bomber or transport damaged or destroyed. -2 points if it's damaged, -4 points if it's destroyed. So there's -12 right there. And because they were carrying supplies, friendly air transported supplies destroyed or lost, -3. So that's another -9. So actually it's -7 per aircraft. So -21. And we got 4 points, positive points. So that's going to be -17 mission points for that encounter. So we're going to record that on our track here. Flip this over to the negative side. And things are not starting off well here. Okay, so these all just get returned to their stacks, along with the IL-2s. Our aircraft go back to the current flight box. Now we've also got some damaged fighters that are going to count against us, but I wait and don't count them yet because if they end up getting destroyed, then we'll count the points then. Or if they make it to the end of the mission, we'll factor those points in at the end. So those go back to the current flight box. All of these IL-2 counters just go back to their stack. And that concludes the combat. So, like I said, we're going to wrap things there for this episode. When we come back, I wasn't talking to you, Alexa. When we come back, we'll continue on our way to our next rendezvous point, where we get to pick up a named ace and a veteran. Alexa, stop. Where we'll get to continue the mission. All right, so that's going to wrap things up for this episode of Knights over Stalingrad. Again, if you have any questions about the game, feel free to leave those in the comments. The designer, Dan Manette, will be watching for those and is more than happy to answer any questions that you have. If you're liking what you see so far and you want to help this game to get published, head on over to Legion Wargames website and pre-order it. But otherwise, we're going to wrap it up here. Thanks everyone for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye for now.